everyone. Here we are again. I'm back. You're back. We're together again. How cool is that? Isn't that an amazing phenomenon that takes place? I am Green Bean. This is Green Bean's Jets Pod, episode 101. Amazing. We kind of crossed through this threshold, if you will. We passed over a boundary. 100 episodes. We did it. The first 100 are in the books. Now we have to see what we're going to do from this point forward. 101. Now the interesting thing is, who will I talk about for our player profile? We have no 101. Obviously, there's a certain way we can go with this. You're already thinking it. And we're going to do just that. We will start this episode in just a moment with our player profile number 1. Oh, we got a good one. Don't we? Don't we have a good number 1 these days? Wasn't always the case. Now we do. And we'll get into that. Guys, I want to thank you for being here. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. If you've been here the last few weeks, you've heard me talk about, last month and a half, really, about this other threshold I wanted to reach. This other goal, this 10,000 subscribers on YouTube, an amazing plateau for a little fella like myself. Amazing. I can't even believe that that's in my sights. Well, I've been asking about it. We tried to make it by the 2-year anniversary of the channel, which was December 31st. That did not happen. But on January 19th, it did. We flew right past it on the Thursday thick of it. We ended up, at the end of the episode, we had 10,012 or 11, something like that. So we flew right past it, and we landed comfortably on the other side. Guys, thank you. Sincerely, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I was able to give away a few things in celebration, a few T-shirts. James Thompson, Mr. Magics. Who's the other guy that won the Manscaped Weed Whacker? That stuff's all out in the mail. Thank you guys for being a part of the show. Now, if you have not subscribed to the channel, look at everybody doing it. It's the cool thing. The cool kids are doing it. You got to do it. If you haven't, now's a great time. It helps the channel. It's really the only way that we can grow and move into different realms. Woohoo! What will I do? It's exciting times over here on Green Bean, the Jets fans channel. And guys, again, thank you. But if you haven't subscribed, please do. And if you haven't hit the like button, that's another one. If you'd be so kind, go ahead and hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button. Guys, if you're looking for an improved, expanded experience of the Green Bean realm and being a Jets fan, you can go ahead and join the Beanbaggers. The Beanbaggers is my private little crew. That helps support the channel as well, but there are benefits. There are all kinds of extra things that you get. This week happens to be the last week of the month. We are watching a classic Jets game together in a private Zoom room. We hang out. It's the best. And this week, we're watching the 1983 New York Jets versus the Rams, the game where there was the bench clearing brawl because they didn't like Mark Gastineau's sack dance. And they said it before the game. There was all kinds of hype. You're going to do that to us and blah, blah, blah. Well, they sacked the quarterback, bench clearing brawl, Klecko and Lyon throwing dudes around. It was mayhem. And then the NFL banned Mark Gastineau's sack dance. Can you believe it? One dude, they banned it in response to this. So this is a major part of our history. I hope you'd consider joining us for it. The link is in the description of this very video. And it's amazing, man. And thanks to all you beanbaggers that hang out with me. It's the best. It's the best. We talk every day with the beanbaggers. One last thing. This episode of Green Bean's Jets Pod is sponsored by Manscaped, everybody. A lot of people don't know that Manscaped isn't just the Lawnmower 4.0, which is awesome, by the way. Well, they also have amazing cologne. How do I open this? Let's see. Look at that. See? Boop, 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 boop. Oh, wafted out. It's beautiful. I love. You know whatever. It's reminiscent of, but better, different. But it's like of Drakkar. It reminds me of Drakkar. Remember Drakkar? It reminds me of that when I was a Guido wannabe in my IROC. Well, this is it. You can get all that great stuff at Manscaped by clicking the link in the description. There's their website, or just go to manscaped.com. Guys, they always have sales and stuff going on. But when you get to checkout, don't forget to add the promo code GreenBean, and they will tack on an additional 20% off of whatever it is you're buying over there. And as always, they throw in free international shipping. Guys, it's the best. Every day I use Manscaped. You should too. Save yourself 20% by using the promo code GreenBean when you get to checkout. There it is. We are here. Oh, I'm going to shake the camera. Who will number one be? 101. You know who it is. It's going to be our dynamic, brand new, fresh out of the box cornerback from Cincinnati, Sauce Gardner. Dude, how good is this guy? All right, how good is this young man? He's got the personality on top of it. He's, the whole Sauce thing. He's already sponsored by Buffalo Wild Wings. They have the sauce. Now, if you guys haven't had the sauce, it's actually, I mean this, I'm a wings guy. I'm a kind of a wings snob, I've been called more than once. It's good. It's not hot wing sauce. It's a combo of sweet and spicy, and it's good. I think it said it's like a combo of some Asian thing and barbecue sauce, that kind of a thing. But I've had it twice now, and I liked it both times. Go get it. There he is. So he has Sauce Gardner, has his own sauce. But guys, this guy, we drafted him with the 4th overall pick in the 2022 draft. Now, lots of Jets fans wanted him. They said, this is the guy we want, cornerback. Now, I was not on that team. As you may remember, I was not on Team Sauce Gardner. I had no problem with the player, loved the player, but I wanted an edge rusher. I wanted the best edge rusher on the board at 4. No ifs, ands, or buts. And when the Jets took Sauce Gardner, I was perplexed. I was. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you what I was like right here. We happen to have that reaction because Matt O'Leary, Ryan, and myself are idiots, and we put our live reactions out there to be critiqued. You see, the second it happens, you know exactly how I feel about it, and I can't hide my emotions. That's not who I am. You'll get to see it. Check it out. This is my natural reaction, waiting for the pick, hearing the pick. Sauce Gardner, this is how I felt.
With the 4th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Sauce Gardner.
Holy shit! Let's go! That's what I'm talking about. Oh!
Wow!
It's misty here, and
I can't believe it.
I am shocked.
He gave me a damn heart attack.
I'm shocked.
Wow.
I really am.
Dude, I love it.
Hey, what are you going to do? Now, here's the thing, right? With the draft, you only get one guy, and there's probably 15 guys that you like in there, 10, 5, 6. There's a bunch of players that you like in this position, right? This pick, this draft slot. Well, Sauce Gardner, I did not think the Jets were going to do it. They did it. There were videos that came out later. Joe Douglas was ecstatic when the Texans decided to take another cornerback before Sauce Gardner, Derek Stingley. Fine, nice player, but he's not what Sauce Gardner is. You want to know how I know? Because he's not a Pro Bowler, and he's not a first-team All-Pro like our guy, Sauce Gardner. So it doesn't matter how I felt that day, right? I wanted an edge rusher. The good news is Joe Douglas found a way to get back into the first round and get himself an edge rusher, a guy a lot of people would have been happy to take at 4. If the Jets came out at 4 and said Jermaine Johnson, while he wasn't my guy at 4, I said, okay, that's their guy at 4. I would have had no issue. Joe Douglas figured out a way to get Sauce Gardner and the edge rusher. So even though I was not necessarily psyched about that moment, boy, oh boy, was I psyched at the end of the first round, adding Garrett Wilson to the mix. Amazing. Now, why did we take Sauce Gardner? Sauce Gardner is a guy who gave up 0 touchdowns in his entire collegiate career. None. Not one single touchdown. Now, that's not exactly the case going into, coming out of his rookie year. He's given up a couple, but not many. And here's the thing with Sauce. He has 75 tackles, 51 of which were solo tackles. So he's a good open field tackler, which is just so important, and particularly on a team that has had tackling issues this year. Sauce Gardner is not among that. Now, everybody can have a clam here or there, but Sauce Gardner, very, very short tackler, in addition to having 20 pass breakups, 20 passes defensed in this year. And he was targeted. They went at him like they should for a rookie. They said, nope, we're going to take him. Diggs can beat this guy. We're going to go at him. And Sauce Gardner, by and large, made everybody pay for it with knocking down passes. I mean, they went for him at the most important moments of the game. Touchdowns with 5 seconds left in the end zone. If it wasn't Sauce, it was a touchdown. Like, that's the type of stuff that we got to see from this guy. The truth is, I could not be happier to have this guy. He's the best player we've drafted in a long time, and I could not be more psyched. I'm excited to see where this kid's career goes. He had 2 interceptions, so that's one part of his game that we can definitely see him improve on, which is cool because, hey, you always want to see him have room to improve and actually have the work ethic to do so. The good news, that's who he is. He has the work ethic to do so. He's an amazing talent. And we're fortunate that Joe Douglas and team put everything to the side and just said, no, this is the best player on the board, period. We're taking him. He's potentially generational, and we're taking him. And he looks every bit of the prospect that they thought he was. Let's add one more thing that he got to do last year. He also had a quarterback sack in the end zone for a safety, which knocked the quarterback out of the game against our division rival, Miami Dolphins. And that was the beginning of what ended up being somewhat of an onslaught. One of the best times we had all year, if I'm being truthful. Sauce Gardner got that started with the first offensive play from the Dolphins. They blitzed him. Teddy tried to throw it away. Intentional grounding in the end zone. Safety. What a way to start. Thank you, Sauce Gardner. Thank you, Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, Chad Alexander, Rex Hogan, Phil Savage, all the guys that sat down and said, this is the guy, and you took him. Thank you, because he's the shit. There he is, Sauce Gardner, our super duper spectacular young cornerback. I love you. And dude, come on, him and DJ Reed. The truth is, DJ Reed should have been in the Pro Bowl as well. They were the best cornerback tandem in the NFL this year. No debate. None. I don't care what anybody says. The best duo in the NFL. Add to that Michael Carter II. Guys, we're locked down at cornerback. What a great job that we've done shoring up such a vital position on the defense. I couldn't be more psyched. These guys are young, talented players. And we're going to get to watch them for years to come, which is badass at its finest. Now, coming out of the player profile, we're going to get it. We got work to do today. We have work to do. I've started to see people out there talking, doing their off-season plans. I haven't watched any. I don't watch them. You want to know why? Because I don't want to know what anybody's thinking. I want to do my own thing, and then I'll watch everybody's. I saw Ryan and O'Leary. I'm on a text thread with them. They were talking about it. I said, stop. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it, man. I don't want to hear what you guys did. Now, the truth is, I always end up landing on a lot of the same stuff that they do because it's the smart move. And one of the things I can confidently tell you is that if I was the Jets general manager, if I ran the show, the New York Jets would be perennial playoffs every year. We'd be the Steelers-esque. And we'd have at least 2, maybe 10 Super Bowl rings. I'm not kidding. I'm telling you. I know it. I look at the players I would have drafted over the years. I look at the guys I wanted to lead the team. I look at it all, and I'm telling you, we're going to put something together today that can be reminiscent of the things that I've tried to do in years past, but I have no control. I couldn't do anything. So we're going to try to put this together today, see if we can't get ourselves some holes filled and some growth potential to move into a scenario where this young team that we have can take the next step, get us deep into the playoffs, and in my opinion, make a legitimate run to the Super Bowl. That is the goal. That's what we're going to do today. And that's what we're going to get into in this week's Intelligent Gripe. So getting us started, I want to make sure that I say something to you. Every year we get caught up in the specifics of the contracts and all that jazz. I'm not going to do that so much this year. Yes, I'm going to mention, overall, like this type of a contract. This guy should get that. But I'm not going to bring it down to the penny for us this year. I just don't want to get caught in the mud. And it never happens anyway. You know, like this guy, we say $6 million and then he gets $4 million. And then this guy, you said $3 million and he gets $7 million and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to talk in blanket statements where the contracts are concerned with who, you know, depending on who we bring in or keep or what have you. But I'm going to talk money, but not specifics. Okay? Deal? Okay, great. We're going to get into all sorts of fun stuff here. The good news with us as fans, this is what I believe, guys. Look, I talk to you guys. I don't agree with all of you, and you guys don't agree with me. That's okay. We're allowed to do that, right? Now, a lot of the guys that I would have chosen over the years were better than the guys that we ended up choosing. Guys that we brought on were guys I didn't want to bring on for many, many years. The past few years, even though there's quite a few players that I would not have brought and vice versa, the positions and the logic behind it, I'm finally understanding in large part. I'm finally looking at this organization and saying, okay, that makes sense to me. Again, not everyone and not every player for sure, but it makes sense. In years past, it didn't. Now, here's the thing with us fans. Like I've said a million times, I think the Jets should have a small little round table of us at before every offseason. We should be talking. They should have some. Now, not all of us. A lot of us are just plumb crazy. But at least me. And maybe O'Leary and, a few goodies. Ryan's good. Some of us, blew it. Like guys that know their stuff. Just listen to us. Hear us. We are digging into it. We know what we're looking at. And we're not so close that we can't see the forest through the trees. We see what's happening. I still think that. Guys, how many drafts that have you put together that would have been slam dunks? And the guys were there most of it, right? So it's not just me. It's a lot of us that put this stuff together and we do a damn good job. And it would have worked. You know what I mean? It would have worked. Now, of course, we don't have the money to deal. It's easier out here. This is Monday morning quarterback type of stuff. And I understand that. But there's a lot of truth to it as well. So let's get into this. We're going to start the offseason, right? We're just going to start the offseason. We have some very important initiatives. Okay, one is we got to go ahead and fill this offensive coordinator position. Now, like you look at the Ravens. The Ravens have an MVP level quarterback. And they're talking about their position. They need an offensive coordinator. And they're saying that their offensive coordinator position is probably the most attractive in the NFL. All right? Fair enough. This is going to be a sought-after position. Everybody wants this job, is what John Harbaugh said. The other thing that they're doing is that they're talking about Lamar Jackson. Even though he's not under contract, he said, look, he's going to be here. We're not worried about it. We'll figure that out. He's our quarterback. So they're going to have him in the mix of the brain trust. They want his opinion. They're going to bounce things off of him. That's great because he's going to be a vital piece of what they are, what they want to be, their identity moving forward. We don't have that. Okay, we don't have that. So I'm of the belief we need our offensive coordinator before we start poking around in quarterbackville. You don't want to wait so long and then bring in a quarterback and the offensive coordinator, the best guy out there, he's not going to mesh with this guy and whatever issues. So I'm of the belief, go out there right now. You have the time. You can hire these. Just go out there, talk to who you need to talk to, and bring in the best possible candidate. Now, interestingly enough, I happen to love the guy that the Ravens just let go. Now, I know a lot of you are reading the press and this and that, and Ravens fans this and Ravens fans that. Let me just tell you something. The guy they let go is named Greg Roman. He's been the offensive coordinator for 3 separate teams since 2011. He's been tasked with designing offenses that work with completely different skill sets behind his quarterback. He had to do Alex Smith. Then he was Colin Kaepernick. Then he goes to Tyrod Taylor. And then Joe Flacco. Then he has Lamar Jackson. So he's been able to do that. He's a guy that he looks at his players and he goes, okay, this is what I can do here. This is what I got. This is what I can do. Now I'm going to show you a few things. Because we're listening right now is that he resigned. He could have been fired. I don't know. You know how they're going to make nice and make it look as positive as they can in some instances. With Greg Roman, who is one of the 2 guys that I'm really hoping that the Jets hire, who I would hire, right? That's kind of what this is. You take a look at Greg Roman's history here. Now, Greg Roman is known as a very strong run game guy. He's, wide receivers hate him. Good. I don't care. I honestly don't care. Other than Garrett Wilson, feed Garrett Wilson. The rest of the wide receivers, you can get 4, 3, 500 yards a year. Inconsequential to me. I want touchdowns and wins. That's what I want. So you take a look at his rushing offenses through the years. Again, you got San Francisco up top, Buffalo in the middle, and then you have Baltimore. Look at the rushing over here on the right-hand side. He's always near the top of the best rushing offenses in the NFL. Pretty much always there throughout his entire career. Now, he's also done that with the passing side numerous times. Now, again, there's personnel changes. There's all sorts of reasons why things go up and down. That's fine. You can't take one season when a guy's been successful. Look what he did this year. Now, I know tons of Ravens fans. You guys happen to know my wife is from Baltimore. My whole side of my family over there, they're all Baltimoreans. And every one of them is, you guessed it, a Ravens fan. The guy who did my mortgage here, Ravens. I have Ravens fans all around me, man. I hear it. I know the inside scoop, as well as anyone who's not a Ravens fan. A lot of Ravens fans don't like Greg Roman, partially because they want to see their wide receivers get fed, and then because there have been these late season dips in offensive production. Well, there also happens to be a late season injury consistency that takes place with the Ravens, where Lamar Jackson gets hurt and then they're a shit show with quarterbacking. Last year, they literally, just to remind you how bad it was last year over there, the Ravens actually went to our practice squad and plucked Josh Johnson. He was starting there the next week. So that's where they were. This year, they had Brett Hundley. Now, Brett Hundley actually he's a talented guy. He really is. He's pretty exciting. He has a lot to offer, but he's not Lamar Jackson. Look at the reason that the Ravens lost in the playoffs. Was it because the offense couldn't move the ball, couldn't score? No. It was because Brett Hundley, if he would have just held on to the ball, it would have been a touchdown. They got the go-ahead touchdown, the touchdown that won the game off a fumble by the quarterback, and they returned it 99 yards for a touchdown. Does Greg Roman suck? You know what I mean? Now, I say, why are you calling a quarterback sneak? Why aren't you calling it? It's a great call on that play. If he would have just held it, he was moving, his momentum was still going, he more than likely crosses the plane, and it's a touchdown. So there's things like this. All I know is this: Greg Roman's offenses, again, are created for all sorts of unique, different scenarios. He doesn't even bat an eyelash. He doesn't sweat it. What do I got? Let me figure out the offense, and let me run it. Look at the Buffalo year real quick. I want to tell you, he was fired by Rex Ryan. A lot of people said that. I got told that twice today. Dude, he was fired in Buffalo. What are you talking about with this guy? Let me just tell you, the week before he was fired in Buffalo, he was fired after a 37-31 point loss to the Jets, oddly enough. He was fired the next day. Now, 37-31. Who does it sound like might be more at fault in that game? Could it possibly be the defense that gave up damn near 40 points? They lost to an offense that put up 31 points, and you fired the offensive coordinator. The reason that they did that, if you just look at the cycle, that was Rex. Rex Ryan coached for 8 years in the NFL as a head coach. He had 6 with us, 2 with Buffalo. In that time, he had 5 offensive coordinators. 5. Why? He's incapable of saying that it's his defense that is the issue, because if it's his defense, then it's him, and he can't say that. So with all due respect and all love and flowers for Rex, love me some Rex, let's just call it what it is. He needed a scapegoat, and he fired the guy whose offense just scored 31 points, and they did that numerous times that year. So again, there are specific reasons why you see dips, and you don't have to love the guy. And great, wide receivers don't like him. Good. We had wide receivers complaining without Greg Roman. It doesn't matter. Wide receivers are going to wide receiver. That's what they're going to do, right? Make sure Garrett Wilson's being fed, and the other guys that are around, make sure that they're functional parts of the offense, and let's run it. Let's running back and tight end the living hell out of them and get 4 yards a carry. That's all we need is 4 yards of play, and we win every damn game and go right to the Super Bowl. Greg Roman gives us that. He would be the best, most accomplished. offensive coordinator we've had here in a long time. Now, as a backup, another one, right? That's the guy the Jets should be going for, in my opinion. But if not, another pipe dream I'll throw at you is Greg Olsen. Now, Greg Olsen is dovetailed with who I'm going to talk about in a minute, and you know who that is. But Greg Olsen has been an offensive coordinator or quarterback coach since 1990. This is the experience that we're talking about, what we've been lacking. We keep bringing in people, they're just fresh out of the box, and they're all green, and then we're mad at them for not knowing how to do stuff. Greg Olsen is not coming that way. If you can pry Greg Olsen from the West Coast, from the Rams, from McVay, if you can pry him out of there, get him on your team. You're talking about a guy who's been an offensive coordinator for the Lions, replaced Jim Bob Cooter, by the way, our former running backs coach under Gase, I believe, right? Then he went to the Rams. He was the offensive coordinator for the Rams. They were the fourth team in NFL history to have a 4,000-yard quarterback, Bulger, by the way, a 1,500-yard running back in Steven Jackson, and 2,000-yard receivers in Isaac Bruce and Torrey Holt. That's Greg Olsen. Okay, Greg Olsen did that. He goes to the Bucs, replaced Paul Hackett, by the way. So he was at the Bucs, he was at the Jags, and he's been with the Raiders 2 separate times. Now, the most recent time is he was the guy there that ended up assuming the responsibility when John Gruden got let go. So he was the OC there, but John Gruden was really the offensive mind, and when he was let go, Greg Olsen moved into the OC position. But more importantly, he was the offensive coordinator there a few years back with one Derek Carr. Now, Derek Carr had some real good times under Greg Olsen. 1 year, Derek Carr had 4,252 yards, 23 touchdowns to go with 10 interceptions. He had a 68.7% completion percentage. What do we talk about? 65% is kind of the threshold you need. Maybe you get down a little bit. You need to break 60, 62. You gotta. We haven't had that in forever. We can't break 60. We just can't do it. So you bring 65 in here and we're going to be a different team. He got him to almost 68, 69. That's 70 where I come from, right? That's 70% completion. So Greg Olsen comes with a whole bunch of good reasoning behind him. Either one of these guys I'm totally fine with. Now moving from that into the number one position that we're going to talk about. I'll get to free agent later, but I just want to talk about if Greg Olsen was here, it's going to make a whole bunch of sense for another very strong move that I think we should make, which is Derek Carr should be the quarterback that we bring over. Now, I'm not sure what it would take in a trade, and I'm not going to philosophize and speculate on what that is. People are thinking that, hey, the Raiders are going to be looking to get anything. They're really more interested in getting out of the contract. So who knows? I mean, maybe you give a third, maybe you got to give 2 firsts. I'm not really sure. Either way, it's not going to be this crazy shit that we were talking about for Lamar Jackson, and it's more than likely not going to be the Aaron Rodgers situation. And it's definitely cheaper than Aaron Rodgers, $10-15 million cheaper, if not $20 million cheaper than Aaron Rodgers. So that makes a whole bunch of sense. Guys, Derek Carr, he's got a career average over 9 years of 65% completion percentage, 64.9, I think it is. He's got more touchdowns than interceptions. He throws for just about, if not over 4,000 yards every season. And here's the big one. He's missed 2 games in 9 years. People are going to say, yeah, but he played 7 games in 9 years that were cold and he didn't do so well. Well, 7 losses in 9 years, that's what we're weighing against a guy missed 2 games in 9 years? Like, it doesn't even, the scales, man, the scales. Derek Carr would instantly be the best quarterback that we've had here since Namath, and you can make an argument more. You could. I'm not gonna, but somebody could. You pair him with Greg Olsen, guys, and even with Greg Roman for that matter. And we are leaps and bounds in a better situation than we were last year. Either one of these offensive coordinators could also bring on staff and do a better job with Zach Wilson. If we're going to do that, that's fine. I think if he's going to be here, absolutely. Put Reese, give him his own coach, man. Designate some resources just for him. If we're going to do this, let Greg Roman or Greg Olsen, they're both named Greg. I didn't even realize that. Look at that. Look, they're both Gregs. Who knew? I didn't even think about that. I keep thinking I'm saying the wrong name because of Greg, and I'm Greg Roman, Greg Olson. But hey, maybe I like Gregs. Hey, if your name's Greg out there, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Good to see you today, Greg. So anyway, that's what I would do with offensive coordinator and quarterback. Again, just that alone. If nothing else was changed on this team, we're in the playoffs. You see it? I'm telling you right now, if nothing else was changed, this is a playoff team with just that alone. Now, I'm going to back it up or move it around just a smidge, and I'm going to tell you, we got 2 offseason priorities with our own players. 2. And we're going to get right to them. We're not going to play games. We're not going to piddle-puddle around with these 2 things. We're going to make sure that the optics are intact, that we squeeze the lemon for every drop of positivity that we can out of both of these moves. First and foremost, I know we're tight against the cap. I understand. And I know that he has another year on his contract. It doesn't matter. The kid wants to get paid. He's been a good everything for us. He's a leader. He's a player. He's an all-pro. He's everything that we could possibly want, and he's a good boy on top of it. He's a sweet, lovable, just barrel of goodness, and we all love Quinnen Williams. You re-sign him now. You get this done now. You give him, what I want to give him is this. What I would do is I would give Quinnen Williams a 6-year, $128 million contract with anywhere between $65 and $75 million guaranteed. The last 2 years could be voidable, and, you can work non-guaranteed end of the year. You give him a nice fat bonus in the beginning, spread it out over those 6 years. That lowers this year's cap hit. He can start going up to $22 million or so next year. As far as the cap hit goes, essentially it boils down to $21.5 million or $22 million right in that pocket per season. I think it's fantastic. I think he should be happy with it. This 28 stuff that somebody was talking, 28, come on. That's quarterback money. You pay Quinnen near the top of what his position is. $22 million is going to get it done. 6 years, let him know that you love him. We want you here forever. And you wrap that up nice with a bow and you tell the whole team, this is what you want to be modeled after. This is what you're shooting for. Quinnen Williams. You do things the right way. You are effective on the field. And you get rewarded with the New York Jets, a place that, guess what, all of a sudden you want to be. This is where you want to be. And Quinnen Williams gets that done. Do not pinch pennies on this one. I will be upset. I will be disappointed with Joe Douglas. Hey, he's got another year on the contract. I can't do it till next year. Dude, you got to figure something out. Even if you belay the actual cost until next year, he needs his extension now. He said he wants it. Give it to him. Give it to him. He said before OTAs, give it to him. The other big one that I want to do is C.J. Mosley. You got to walk up to C.J. Mosley. You got to say, hey, look, buddy, you know damn well $21 million ain't happening. When we talked about it last year, we already set the groundwork. We know what we're going to do. But here's the thing. We want you to end your career as a Jet. You're the emotional leader of the defense. You make 10, 15 tackles a game. We love you. We want to keep you here till the end of your career. We're going to give you a 3-year contract worth about $10 million per year. You've already made 50, 60 million, whatever the hell it is with us. You try to get him to 9, you can get maybe $9 to $11 million, somewhere in there. I'm thinking you settle right around 10 and you get it done with CJ Mosley. That's all warm and fuzzy. CJ Mosley's a Jet. So now you got CJ Mosley, Quinnen Williams, Sauce Gardner. All these guys are going to be here 3, 4, 5 more years. All of them. The whole core. And then we can start seeing things like what we saw up in Buffalo when you're wondering how they get so good because they stayed together. They have the same core on that defense for 5, 6 years. That's why these guys live, eat, sleep, breathe in there. They don't even need to be taught. They just react in this defense. They know it like the back of their hands. That's what you want. And they know each other like the back of their hands. That's what we want. You start that with Quinnen and CJ Mosley. Boop, boop, boop. So now look what we've done already. We locked up 2 of our best players, 2 of our leaders, 2 of the faces of the organization, both of whom are Pro Bowls, both of whom made it into the All-Pro situation this year. Quinnen Williams is a first-team All-Pro. C.J. Mosley is a second-team All-Pro. So, guys, these are the players you want to have around. Yes, you can argue and nitpick about him losing a step. Sure. You can do all that stuff. The truth is, he's a Pro Bowl-level talent. He's the best linebacker on the team, and he's the leader of the defense. And outside of that really boneheaded play in Buffalo, man, oh, my God, with that jumping over. But outside of that, very, very good season, man. He had a freak out. What are you going to do? So, look, we added Greg Roman and/or Greg Olsen. We got Derek Carr. We got C.J. Mosley and Quinnen Williams locked up. We're not off to a bad start here, New York Jets fans. So let's do this. Now we're going to talk about we have to sit down and we got to go over our own guys. You got to do it. You just got to do it. You got to look at your own team and you got to make some hard decisions. Here's who I'm keeping, and I have a little bit of caveats here, okay? I gotta tell you, there's scenario-based decisions here, okay? Number one, Dwayne Brown, all right? Dwayne Brown, his contract says he's staying, right? You can cut Dwayne Brown, and you save about $4 million, $5 million, $4.9 million. If you just decide to cut Dwayne Brown, you can save $4.9 million on your cap. You're still going to pay him $6 million, though, okay? He's still going to be $6 million. If he retires, which he might, you get that whole lump back. If that happens, I'm keeping George Fant. And I'm keeping George Fant on a 1-year deal because, look, you were thinking you were going to get top tackle money. We were at odds with our negotiations. Hey, settle down, stay right here, try to work and have yourself a better year where you can earn a longer contract. Just one season, you stay here. We'll give you $8.5 million or whatever it is. You stay here, you fight for a starting job. You're not even guaranteed the starting job, but we'll give it to you so you can compete, and that's that. If he doesn't want to, then goodbye. But that's the thing. If Dwayne Brown is like, nah, I'm staying, then George Fant has to go. That's how I see it. In my opinion, you can't keep them both with Becton and what we're going to do in the draft. And it just, from my perspective, monetarily and positionally, 53 with all the positions that we have, I don't think we can do it. So Dwayne Brown goes, George Fant stays. George Fant doesn't want to stay. That's a different story. But if Dwayne Brown stays, then George Fant, hey, one of them's going to be here. All right, man? That's what just stop picking on me, man. I know what I'm doing. I'm chill out. So the next one I want to get to is Sheldon Rankins. I'm keeping Sheldon Rankins. I'm looking for a similar contract to what he got last year, that $5 million-esque type of a thing. He's a guy that Quinnen leans on. And he's effective, man. He had his best year. Well, he's only been here for 2 years, but he had the better of his 2 years was this year. So he needed a minute in the defense. And I think, hey, man, keep as many of these guys around as you can. Sheldon Rankins, or like when you look at Solly or Shepard, Sheldon. If I'm going to pick one of those guys, it's Sheldon Rankins, and that's the guy I'm keeping. I'm also going to keep, imagine this, Greg Zuerlein. Imagine this. Our first ever 60-yard field goal happened under Greg Zuerlein. The guy would go back 57-yarders in the rain, no problem. Greg Zuerlein. 50 and up, we don't even freak out anymore. I mean, it would have been nice if he made that 58-yarder against the Lions, yeah, but generally speaking, when our kickers, when it's 50 plus, they trot our kicker out there, we're like, what are we doing? This is a lost cause, man. So when Greg Zuerlein walks out there, all of us are thinking, he's going to make this. And that in itself has value. Keep him, look, 2 years. Give him 2 years, $2 million each. If he only wants one more, you want to keep him one, whatever. But I say, tell him you want him. 2 years, $2 million per, $2 million guaranteed. You see what I'm saying? That's what you do. 2.5 guaranteed. There you go. So he's got a little bit for the next year, and that's it. You keep a damn kicker here for more than 5 minutes, somebody that can actually do something. The next one is Nate Herbig. I'm keeping Nate Herbig around. I'm going to give him backup contract, but he just might end up starting for us. I'm going to give him 3-4 years, and I'm going to tell him we want you here. He's going to be able to compete to be the heir apparent to Laken Tomlinson, who, if he doesn't get his head out of his ass, is definitely gone next year. We can't cut him this year. It's cost prohibitive, man. It's not worth it. So you got to keep him. Nate Herbig, when Laken's gone, you're going to have the capacity, the opportunity to compete to be our starting guard over there. And if not, you're a steady backup, and I think he's a very good one at that. So you keep him. I'm also going to keep Cedric Abuye. All the guys we brought in this year, the Connor McDermotts to the Mike Remmers, and all the guys that we brought in this year, I think keeping Cedric Abuye, I think Joe Douglas found one. Definitely not a starter. You don't want to count on him to be your starter, but I think he might have just found a home. We found some good depth in this guy, and I like it. Now, again, there's going to be a lot if we fan Dwayne Brown. There's going to be some things that could happen to push him out. But that all said, I think I'm going to try to keep him around at least through camp and everything. I'm going to offer him an extension. Say, hey, buddy, we'd like you to stay here with us. You don't need to bounce around anymore. You got a home, and if we put you on the practice squad, whatever, we'll do that. But you're going to be here for a while. He came in for three games, and he played exceptionally well considering. He ended up neutralizing, for the most part, Von Miller. We thought Von Miller was going to shred his wheat, and he didn't. He did a pretty damn good job. So we keep him around. I think Joe Douglas found one. In the rough, we found a little bit of not a diamond quite saying, but maybe a ruby. A ruby in the rough? Is that a thing? Maybe we found our ruby. So I like him. I'm also going to keep another offensive lineman, Drew Samia, around. He didn't do much, but he's a young player. He was drafted in 2019. I liked him coming out. And I think he's the kind of guy that can get himself into that backup. And look, we need guys that are like in our pipeline that are going to be here for a while. I think he's a good one to keep around. I also like Quincy Williams. It's my opinion that we can't keep both Quincy and Quan. We're going to lose one. That's what I think. And now I'd love to keep them both. Like, let's say they can talk to Quan Alexander and say, hey, buddy, we'll give you 2.5. And he goes, yeah, sure. Like, if that happens, I'd love to keep the band together. I don't see it. I think the whole relationship with him and Quinnen said he'd take less if we keep Quincy and all that stuff. Now, if he sucked, it doesn't matter. But Quincy is a good player. I think you give him $4 million or so, and you keep him around. Again, third year in the system. He played much better this year than last year. When he's on, that boy is on, man. He's a heat-seeking missile. Now, the problem is he's not always on, right? So he has these lapses and everything. In coverage, he's not quite the best. But he's got a lot of talent, and it's a whole thing with Quinnen and all that. Keep him around, and you let Quan Alexander go. I think it's 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other. They both have their talents and everything. But, again, I think we're going to lose one. And I think it would be Quan. Now, we have a couple interesting ones here. What do we do with Mike White? What do you want to do with this guy? I think for right now, you keep him. You tell him, hey, look, you're a backup quarterback in our eyes. This will be your fourth year here, really. We're going to keep you around. We keep you around. You play well. You don't last very long, but we're going to keep you. I think we keep him around on a lower end contract. I don't think he's going to get starter money anywhere. If he can go out somewhere and get starter money, fine. But I think we keep him around for the time being, and you give him a $2 million contract, probably, I don't know, one guaranteed, something along those lines. And you keep Mike White in the building. You have if it's a Derek Carr, Mike White, Zach Wilson room, I think I'm pretty good with that. So I would keep Mike White around. You don't want to you don't want to offend him or anything with a super low contract, but you got to be realistic and say, hey, look, we'd like you to stay. Here's what we got for you. And if not, you can go out there and see what other teams will offer you. If somebody does want to give him starter money or something like that. Another one that is interesting is James Robinson. I'm going to keep James Robinson. He's a restricted free agent. And we can lock him in for $1.2 million. $1.2 million for a guy who started in the NFL. Now, he fell out of favor here, but we don't know what that was. Mike LaFleur is Mike LaFleur, right? A lot of guys got in his doghouse, and more than likely, once they saw the emergence of Bam Knight, they said, you know what, we'd rather keep the fifth and give them a sixth, as opposed to giving them the fifth and keeping the sixth. So that probably had something to do with it, too. I think a running back room like Breece Hall, Bam Knight, Michael Carter, and James Robinson is about as good as you could ask for, especially for 1.2. I'm going to keep him. Now, the last one I'm going to talk about here is the best one, man. Bryce Huff. I'm keeping this guy around. Now, he's a restricted free agent, so it's interesting. You can do a couple things. You can give him a second-round tender, and he can get, you can have right of first refusal, or if you choose not to match it, the other team has to give you a second-round pick, and that's like a $4 million contract or so. Or you can make sure he's yours or that you're getting a first. You could put a first-round tender on this guy, Bryce Huff. He was an undrafted free agent in 2020. When all the grumpkins come out about our 2020 draft class, let's not forget to add Bryce Huff to the mix. We found him at the very, very back end. He is a baller. So you put a first-round, at worst, second-round tender. You put a first-round tender on this guy. If nobody matches it, you're getting him for $6 million. $6 million for an elite level edge rusher. Now, is he a full-time player? That's the question. That's the question with him. The skill set that he has, that burst, man, nobody can handle it. Consistently. Nobody can handle it consistently. So I think that you go out there, you put a first round tender. If somebody's going to blow your door, we're going to give him a $20 million case. Oh, fuck, I'm not giving him $20 million. And then you get a first instead. If that's going to happen, good for Bryce Huff. If that happens, good for you, man. We get the first and we move on. If not, you get really one of your best, if not your best pure pass rusher on the team for $6 million. I think it's a slam dunk, and you take care of that and you keep Bryce Huff around. You might just want to just go out and give him his full extension now. I don't think Joe Douglas will do that. He's going to probably want to smear the money out as best he can, get him for the $6 million, see if he can reproduce this year kind of thing. If he's doing a good job toward the end of next season, you can renegotiate if you'd like, or you can wait till next year. But either way, I think Bryce Huff is a keeper. Now, who we letting go? Well, let's start with Joe Flacco. I said I'm keeping Mike White. I'm not keeping Joe Flacco. Enjoy your retirement, sir. Thanks for the Cleveland game. It was a blast. You know what I mean? It was really fun. You got to jump up and down in the locker room. Yeah, go. That was great. It was your moment. Good. After that, we saw slow blinks on the sideline. Yeah, Joe's done. So if somebody offers him a contract, God bless him. We're letting him go. Now, again, the whole George Fant thing, depending on what happens, I do have him on my cut list. I think it's probably not going to happen. So I think George Fant's probably going to be elsewhere. But again, depending on Dwayne Brown and all that kind of stuff, he decides to retire. I'm keeping insurance on this team as best I can. You got Cedric Abuye as some insurance. We got Max Mitchell coming back. You got Becton coming back. You keep Fant around, and then you'll see what we do in the draft as well. And we got ourselves a friggin' tackle room, okay? Now, another is a big one. It was hard. I went back and forth on this 3 times, and I'm doing it. I'm letting Connor McGovern walk, but I'm not letting him walk because I want to let him walk. I'm letting him walk because I can only give you 10.5. I can only give you 10. I said, look, we can give 10 million, maybe 10.5. And he said, dude, I'm getting offers of 13.5. That's what I want out there. I'm the best center on the market. I'm getting 13. I might even be able to get it up to 14. And I say, hey, buddy, thanks for the effort. Thanks for the memories. I wish you well. See you later. We can't do it. Connor McGovern is our free agent center that leaves the team. Again, we tried, couldn't do it. Dan Feeney is going to go with him. He's going to take the mullet, and he's going to go elsewhere. Solomon Thomas is out. LaMarcus Joyner is gone. Vinny Curry, nice as it was, he had some impact this year. He's done, and rightfully so. He had a great career. He's done. Mike Remmers is going to go as well. Nick Bawden. Now, depending on what this new offensive coordinator wants to do, if it's Greg Roman, maybe he wants to keep a fullback. I don't know. But I think Nick Bawden's probably going to go. For a lot of people forgot he was even on the team. He was injured all year, so he was on injured reserve. So he's going to take Quan Alexander with him, sad to say. The other one is I'm going to let go of Jeff Smith. I'm doing it. He's a restricted free agent. We could tender him as well. I'm just going to say goodbye. We can easily replace what Jeff Smith does, in my opinion. No disrespect, right? But we can easily replace it, in my opinion. We're going to let him go with Greg Sinnat, a guy that I thought might be able to contribute. He has 4 season-ending injuries in his career, including last year. They said it was a non-football injury. Don't matter. Still injured, still out. And that's kind of his MO. So he's going to go. He's going to take LDT with him. Thank you, LDT. Good times, right? Good times with LDT, Dr. Blocker. We're going to see Adam Pankey go. We're going to see running back Ty Johnson. He's going to get an offer somewhere, and we're going to let him go take it. He's going to get a chance. So Ty Johnson's going to go get a chance. We're going to let him go. We're keeping James Robinson, and we're going to keep our very strong running back room together. Somebody's got to leave. Ty Johnson's going to be the one that goes. Will Parks is going to go. Nathan Shepard has played his last game as a New York Jet. King of Strain goes to Strain somewhere else. And Marcel Harris is also going to be gone. Now, that's 18 free agents, okay? 18. Now, I classified them to which ones I think is going to, have a realistic chance to be signed during that free agent period. Now, why am I doing this? I want to do this for comp picks. I'm always thinking about comp picks. It's high time the Jets start getting some free damn picks from the NFL. Why don't we get any? So it's time that this starts to happen, in my opinion. I think this might be the year, and that what this does is next year, offseason, that's when we get the picks that are figured out this year. So you look at this, we got guys like George Fant and Connor McGovern. They're getting signed. Now, whether or not they're signed before the window ends, we'll see. Connor McGovern, 100%. 100%. George Fant, I say likely. So there's two right there. Dan Feeney's another one. Probably Solomon Thomas, I think, as well. He's a vet defensive tackle, defensive end at times if you want. And he's going to be insurance for somebody, and I think he's going to get signed. Curry, Remmers, Baldwin, I don't know. Quan Alexander, 100%. So that's now 4. We got 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 guys. LaMarcus Joyner, I don't know. Greg Sinat, Jeff Smith, LDT, Adam Parkey. Ty Johnson's going to go get himself a... So that's Nathan Shepard. So that's 7 potential guys that I think could really be signed during the free agent window when it would apply to comp picks. And it's depending on their contract, that'll decide which round. I think Connor McGovern's going to get us a 3rd-round pick, and that'll be fantastic for next year. We'll see what Nathan Shepard and Solomon Thomas get, or even George Fant for that matter. But either way, we got 7 guys now factoring in to the formula for comp picks. Let's see how we do in free agency. All we have to do is not sign 7 free agents, and that'll be fantastic. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. There's some low-level depth stuff that I'm not going to do for this one. There's I think we need to bring in maybe an extra free safety. You got to bring in some lower-level guys, maybe some cuts, maybe some free agents, depending on what it happens. But I'm going to talk about our big signings. Before I do that, I have to know what I have monetarily. So I'm going to make some cuts. Now, some of them are tough, and I'm going to do them nonetheless. I'm going to cut Corey Davis, save myself 10.5. I'm going to cut Jordan Whitehead. Sucks. I loved the signing. I thought it was great. And he did have his moments. I just don't think he's long. I don't think he's worth it. I don't. And I think you can save $7.5 million by cutting him. And I think it's too valuable this year not to take advantage of. Carl Lawson, hey, man. He's good. He's effective, but he's going to save us $15.4 million. $15.4 million, man. Ashton Davis is an interesting one. We saved $2.7 million to let Ashton Davis go. And while they love him and he's athletic, I think, again, just like Jeff Smith, I think you can reproduce his impact easily. Easier than some of the top-end guys. And I think Ashton Davis, it's time to go. We save almost $3 million to get rid of him. And so if those were my 4 guys that I cut, we look at $35.85 million that I made, and then add that to the $11 million I saved bumping CJ Mosley down. So now I have $46.85 million to add to our $4 million in the cap, with the cap. So now we got just about $50 million to fool around with. You see what I did there? Now the Derek Carr thing again. Quinnen, there's going to be some mud there, and I don't know how to do it. You know what I mean? Again, it's not my forte, which is why I'm not going too far in there. But you get the point. You see what I'm trying to accomplish here. Now, there's a couple other things that we could do. We could save $2.7 million cutting Braden Mann. If you think you got a punter in undrafted free agency that you can bring in, maybe use your 7th-round pick on a punter. If you think you can fix that, Braden Mann, all the talent in the world, and sometimes he looks like the best punter in the NFL, but man, the inconsistency is consistent, right? He is consistently inconsistent. So we could save almost $3 million cutting Braden Mann. And you could consider cutting Braxton Berrios for $6 million. I don't think they're gonna, man. I think, look, he had an interesting year. He looked good early on. He did some good things. And then he had from Minnesota on, he looked like a different player. I don't know. I don't think you chop off his head and, look at, exclude all the things that he did do well for this one chunk of the season that things kind of slid down the tubes, and the whole team offensively slid down the tubes. So it wasn't just him, but it was weird. Like his punt returns and the fair catch, it was weird. So we don't know what it was. Again, you could cut him and save $6 million if you need to. I'm not gonna. So now if you did that, we're talking about another, those guys, another $10 million. So that brings us up to $60 million. So we could do that. Again, I'm not cutting Braden Mann just yet until I see what I can do in undrafted free agency or at the end of the draft. And I'm also not going to cut Berrios. I'm going to keep him around. Now, don't forget, if Dwayne Brown retires, that's another $11.2 million that we get back. You can cut Dwayne Brown, save the $5 million, give that to Fant, add $3-4 million, and you got him. And then you know what I mean? Like, so you could do it that way. So again, there's a lot of potential variables and ways that we could do this and look at it. But again, that's what I see. You could make more money that way. Then there's a whole bunch of guys on the bottom end. Guys that you never even heard of. Guys like Malik Taylor, a wide receiver. You can make $1 million cutting him. You can cut Bradley and I, get just about, I think they're like 9.75, 975,000. Rodney Adams, Zane Lewis, you know what I mean? You can make Marquise Spencer. You can make 750, 890, that kind of stuff. If you need the money, if you want to just move it around and get some other guys, and you have another 7 or 8 guys on the bottom end, you can make another $5 to $10 million in there like that. You can do that as well, but we'll see. So now, free agent, like I said, I'm bringing in Derek Carr. He's going to eat a nice, huge chunk of the cap that I've made, and that is what it is. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do, guys, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at the tackle again, okay? I'm going to look at this. Now, I can go about it 2 ways. I can go get the guy that I think is going to start, and I could just say, that's it, it's a wrap, and then I even let Fant go and the whole thing. I could do that. And I can go to San Francisco, back to the well that just poisoned us with Lake and Tomlinson, and I can go get McGlinchey, and I can get him out here. He's going to make probably $10-ish million, 10.5, something like that. So you can do that with him, or you can go the depth route. And you can say, good, look, I'm hoping Becton stays. I'm hoping Dwayne Brown's going to stick around. I'm probably going to use a draft pick on, and I'm going to go get Andre Dillard from the Eagles. He could probably be had for somewhere in the range of 5-6-ish, maybe even less. Joe Douglas has that very limited but history with him. So maybe we go get Andre Dillard and we just use him as some insurance for Becton, maybe. Okay, so we could do that way. That's 2 things that I would consider doing. Again, let's just say we get McGlinchey at the top end. Let's say we pay him 10.5. We got Derek Carr, Mike McGlinchey, and then we're going to go ahead and grab, just fatten your lip, Von Bell from the Cincinnati Bengals, a safety. Again, I'm letting Jordan Whitehead hit the bricks. I also cut Ashton Davis. We're going to revamp this one. Our cornerbacks are locked down. My linebackers are good. I got Sherwood stepping in for Quan Alexander. I feel real good about it. I got a defensive line. I feel really good about that. I'm redoing this safety room. LaMarcus Joyner's out. Jordan Whitehead's out. Ashton Davis is out. And I'm going to start that rebuild with Von Bell, and I'm going to give him $9.5 million. Bell had 77 tackles, 4 interceptions, 2 forced fumbles, and a sack last year. Not bad. We could use those numbers, so bring him on over. And now that's going to bring us to our draft. So I'll go through this rather quickly. Again, we're doing mocks. I mean, the Monday Night Mock, we're going to deconstruct the living hell out of this. For right now, this is with a wide scope what I'm looking to do in the draft, okay? First round, pick 13. I'm grabbing the best tackle on the board. For me, this is what I'm doing. I'm grabbing the best tackle on the board, and that's either going to be Paris Johnson, Peter Skoronski, or Broderick Jones. Now, yeah, look, more than likely, Skoronski's going to go first from my perspective, then maybe Paris Johnson. We're going to get one of those 3 at 13 is what I think, all right? You got quarterbacks and edge rushers and wide receivers. We're going to get one of those 3 tackles. I'm fine with any of them. My first choice would be Skoronski, but the other 2 are going to work fine for me as well. So that's what we do. Then we're going to go in the second round. Now, another scenario-based decision. In the event one of these safeties slides, one of these guys that I like up top, maybe Brandon Joseph, okay? Doubt it. Maybe Jordan Battle. I doubt it. But if either one of those guys are there, I might take the swing at safety. I might. If not, I'm perfectly fine with doing the thing that we should do, and that's grab the best damn center in this whole draft. We could have done it 2 years ago. We could do it all the time. We never choose to do it. Use your second round pick. Shore up the center line. We lost Connor McGovern. He's been the staple on our offensive line. We lost him. Bring in the best center in the draft. In my opinion, that is John Michael Schmidt, 6'4", 320 pounds. If he's not there, let's say battle's gone and we're standing there and we really wanted our center right here, I'm perfectly fine grabbing Luke Whippler, 6'3", 300 pounds out of Ohio State. Totally fine with it. I plug him right in without a question. So we're taking care of this center position. Now we got the tackle. The tackle's going to compete. If Dwayne Brown's around, if Fant's around, the way I look at it, best case scenario, we got Mekhi Becton and this new tackle, Broderick Jones, let's call him. And Mekhi Becton, maybe McGlinchey and Jones. I don't give a shit. We're making sure that this tackle position is done. If we go the Andre Dillard route, we have depth. Now we got Cedric Abuye, Max Mitchell, Andre Dillard behind Becton, Broderick Jones, George Fant, those types of things. So do you see what I'm saying? Now, one of those guys isn't going to be here, but that's the route I'm going. I'm doing something like that, and I'm going to see how it all falls to see what I need to do, but I'm not coming out of this offseason with any questions at the tackle position. I don't need one guy to stay healthy, none of that stuff. And then I'm bringing in the best center from the draft, and I'm going to watch my O-line roll people to the tune of 400 yards rushing every week with Greg Roman's offense. You see what I'm saying over here? Now, we're going into the third round, and the third round starts, and beep, 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 we get a huge alert. Oh, my God. The New York Jets have just decided to trade. They're on the clock at pick 67. The Denver Broncos have traded their pick to the New York Jets, number 67. The good news for Denver, they have pick 68. They don't give a shit. They're willing to do it. They grab Elijah Moore. The Jets say, hey, on your way out, when you go to Denver, try keeping your feet in bounds when you have 3 yards to do it. And stop telling your coaches to go F themselves. We got rid of the one half of it. Now we got rid of the other half of it. We do not condone this bullshit. The loudmouth is gone. Go to Denver. Do whatever you got to do. Be great for them. It doesn't matter. We get a second, third round pick. That's before our other third round pick, pick 67. We are psyched. We can't believe it. We see J.L. Skinner, the safety out of Boise State, sitting right there, 6'4", 220 pounds, 62 tackles, 4 interceptions, 4 passes defensed. In 2021, he had 92 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, 2 sacks. Or 2 interceptions. The guy is serious. He lays the wood. Him and Von Bell coming in. Now we got Tony Adams and those guys behind him. See what I'm saying? It's all different now behind Sauce and Reed. It's all different now. So we can't believe J.L. Skinner's there. We get rid of a cancer, a loudmouth crybaby whining in the middle of a win streak. Doesn't matter that he was right. Doesn't matter. You don't do that. He's out. We get J.L. Skinner. And then with our next pick in the third round, pick 74, we go ahead and kind of replace him, but really replace Jeff Smith with Kashan Butte, the wide receiver out of LSU, 6', 200 pound, 205 pound. Big-bodied guy, knows how to break tackles, has great hands, 48 receptions for 538 and 2 touchdowns last year. Again, I'm not looking for him to be our number one wide receiver. I'm looking for him to come in and be a cog. That's what I want. I think he's a reliable guy, 6 foot tall. He's going to be not huge, but not small. He's going to give us exactly what we need. Elijah Moore's out. J.L. Skinner and Kashan Butte are in. Now we're in the fourth round, and I'm going to the other position I really want to make sure I don't leave the draft without, and that is defensive tackle Keandre Coburn out of Texas, 6'2", 346 pound space-eating animal. That's the guy I want. 27 tackles, 2.5 sacks, 2 forced fumbles last year, and he's the exact guy I want next to Quinnen. 350 in the way. That's what I want, man. You can't move him. You need 2 guys to get this guy to move off his stance, and he's going to be exactly what we need in there. We go into the 5th round, and we're grabbing linebacker Dax Holyfield, 6'1", 245 pounds. Quite the story with Dax Holyfield. We won't get into it here, but last year he had himself 82 tackles, 6.5 tackles for a loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 sacks to go with 6 passes defensed as well. Yeah, he's breaking up. We get a linebacker breaking up these passes to the running backs and tight ends. He ain't having that shit. Dax Holyfield, we're bringing him on in, start developing him nicely, and then we're going to, dude, the 6th round, you got to look at this. I'm going to show you right here, of course. We're grabbing him, man, and I love it. You got to love this guy. We're grabbing Cody March, the 6'6", 303-pound offensive guard who is proud of his smile. You gotta love it. I can't wait to bring him into the fray, into the mix. Hang out with AVT for a year or two, buddy. We'll bring him on in, and then we're gonna have our first 7th round pick in the Joe Douglas era. We're gonna use it, and we're not gonna take a punter because all the punters made it to undrafted free agency. We're fine. They all made it here. We're gonna get at least one if we cut Braden Mann. And we're gonna go ahead and replace Elijah Moore just like this. We're gonna grab Trey Tucker, a wide receiver out of Cincinnati, a former Sauce Gardner's teammate, and we're going to bring him on. He's 5'9", $185, shifty, fast, relentless, all the things that you want in that position. 52 receptions, 672 yards, 3 touchdowns, and that is our draft. Guys, this happens. This offseason happens. We're getting a new quarterback. We're getting a new proven offense. We might not love everything about it. We never do. But we're getting somebody that has had offenses in the NFL that actually work. We have a quarterback that can run it. We got new offensive linemen that are going to last, and they're going to be here, and they're going to play together forever. We went out there and we shored up our safety position. We got rid of a whole bunch of dead weight. We made Quinnen Williams happy. We made C.J. Mosley happy. We made Quincy Williams happy. We kept really good, vital young guys around. We plugged the exact holes that we needed to. And then we had a slam dunk draft where we're once again addressing the offensive line, new center, new tackle, developmental guard, wide receivers. We get rid of a cancer. We did the whole thing. This is my offseason. I believe if this happens or anything damn near close to it at all, we're in the playoffs and arguably in the Super Bowl. Let me know what you think of my offseason plan. With that all said, guys, I hope you have a great rest of the week. Can't wait to talk about this one with you. And as always, go Jets.